Hello everyone, welcome to Redmen TV. It's the Redmen Originals Podcast. I'm Ste P. I am joined by Chris Pajak, by Chloe Bloxham and by Steve Plunkett for this one. And we get to talk about Liverpool winning a game of football in the Premier League. Yes, we'll be speaking about the Reds 2-0 win over Aston Villa later on, well, very shortly actually. And then the second half of the show, we're going to take a little look ahead to what is coming up this week. Two massive games: Real Madrid at home in the Champions League, and then of course Manchester City away in the Premier League. Thanks very much, guys, for joining us today, especially Steve. Thanks for coming in, taking the time, mate. Much appreciated.
Taking ages.
Battling the traffic to get here, mate. Much appreciated. We do appreciate it. Before we start, though, just a shout out to our good friend Damien, who has created, and Chris, for those watching,
these are unbelievable.
These are model turnstiles. For those watching, for those listening, I'll explain to it. They are model turnstiles. So if you go to modelturnstiles.com, actually there's a link in the description below, and yeah, check out these amazing products. So basically, wherever you sit in the ground, there's a very good chance that your turnstile is available as a nice little model, nice little souvenir.
So the way it works is he goes down, you put an order in, right, to modelturnstiles.com. You put an order in of your turnstile. So he goes down, he photographs it. It then takes him about a week to craft this. And like, if there's chewy on the floor, it'll be on there. If there's a mark on the wall, it'll be on there because he just goes off the photograph. It is proper art and it's so cool and it's absolutely massive, and you can sort of see how sort of 3D it is and stuff. So yeah, if you fancy something a little bit different that's bespoke to you, maybe it's not like your gate, maybe you've been to one game at Anfield and you went in one gate. Like, there's loads of reasons you could maybe want one, and I love it. So we're going to find somewhere to put on the set.
It's really cool.
So that's the really big one.
So yeah, go to modelturnstiles.com. It's on Twitter at modelturnstiles as well. Yeah, there's a little one that you can hang on your wall, so you can either get a freestanding one or you can get one that goes on your wall. By the way, we're not making any money off plugging this. This is an advert. We just think they're really cool. Thanks to Damien for sending those in. They're awesome. So yeah, if you want a really a bespoke product, then feel free, absolutely go and get yourselves one of those. But yeah, that isn't us trying to make any money, because we're not. Absolutely, we're just getting some really cool stuff. We're definitely going to find somewhere in the studio to get those put up for sure, because they're absolutely fantastic. Good work, Damien. Absolutely smashed it, my friend. Right then, guys, let's crack on. Let's talk about Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. Chloe.
Hi.
Nice, that one. Good to get the Reds back in the winning mood.
Yeah, we'd lost 6 of the previous 7 and I'd been at all 6 of those games, so it felt great to
I thought you were going to do the 6-7 meme then, but then yeah, I thought you were about to do it. Was that never on your agenda, though?
No.
Okay.
No, it was not. But
moving on.
But yeah, it just felt nice to actually be in a ground, and I felt Liverpool were in control a little bit more of this game of football. And I walked out the ground and I said to Josh Williams, I went, some parts of that game I was bored with. And that is brilliant, because, I mean, the previous games, it's not been boring, it's been either fume or anger. So yeah, I was quite happy to be bored at points during Liverpool playing football.
No, absolutely, yeah. It was more professional. It was very reminiscent of last year's day, and on that, it might just be because it was the same team pretty much as last year. Obviously, the goalkeepers changed because the injury to Alisson. The strikers changed because obviously none of the strikers we had last year. They're here, unfortunately, with Diogo's passing dreadful, of course, and then Liverpool selling the other 2. It felt like Liverpool went back to basics a little bit. And it's no surprise it looked familiar, because it was a very familiar team.
Yeah, aided and abetted by the fact Emery did not get the email on how to play Liverpool, did he? So nice that we had an opportunity.
It went to spam, Steve. It went to spam.
Yeah.
Arne Slot did his best in every single press conference to let him know.
To tell him how to play
this is
against
what
us.
you do. Yeah, nice to see. The press worked really well for probably the first time in all those games you just mentioned, and it was, like you say, there were times in that game you just could chill out and enjoy it and not worry about it, and that's not something we've been experiencing in the last 6 weeks or so, is it? So yeah, some good performance, and most notably a welcome return to some kind of form from Alexis McAllister, because that's been missing and that's been key to some of our performances for me. But I think great, we need to see this again, and it's not lost on me that the 3 games we're going to speak about in this section are all games where managers will come and do their thing rather than reading the email and trying to direct balls and set pieces, because they've got their own styles of football and they want to win with their footballing principles. So they'll come out and all three of those teams will go toe-to-toe with us, and I think that will really suit us. It certainly did against Villa anyway.
No, absolutely spot on. Before we start speaking about the goals, though, I want to bring a point up from Chloe. Obviously, I saw in your vlog, I saw in the clips that you sent in as well. The Arne Slot song at 0-0 felt very poignant. We've got a comment here, and it's from Simon Mackham, who says, actually, it sounded like Anfield wanted to make a point to everyone outside the Liverpool bubble. Like, I understand everyone's got an opinion and everyone's opinions are valid. There's been a lot of noise, more so online, about the manager and his position and where he's at. I think that the death nail for Liverpool managers if you lose the stadium, and I've seen Liverpool managers lose the stadium before, and it felt like that was a very concerted effort from the Copper area and Anfield as a whole to back the manager who actually, no, we believe in you, we think this is a blip. Is that how you took it when you were in the stadium as well? Yeah,
I thought from minute one, even before, the actual kick-off, I thought Liverpool fans, it was kind of a statement of intent from us, because we were basically saying, okay lads, you have struggled, so we are, feed off us. Usually, they have to go hand in hand. Liverpool, Anfield starts well, but you've got to give us something for us to get behind or to keep us singing, where it felt like it wasn't like that. It felt like against Villa, we were setting the tone for the game and saying, okay, well, we're here to back yous. I think it was around 23 minutes in that the Slot song was sung at 0-0. And yeah, it was very much an entire fan base, or at least stadium, basically saying to Slot, everything's going to be all right, because Liverpool then sing that at the end of the game as well. Basically saying, it's a blip of form. We've got the formula there. We had the formula there. We know you'll get it back on track. We know that these lads are better than what they're playing. We've got world-class footballers here. We've got legends of Liverpool playing on this pitch. And it was just kind of a show of support of basically us saying, okay, we'll get you through this game. We'll help you we'll feed you something to really have that fire and the passion. And I think you saw that equally on the pitch. It was like the entire, the players on the pitch saw us in the stands, felt the passion, felt the support, and went, actually, you know what? I'm going to put that hard tackle in. I'm going to win my individual battles. You saw McAllister after he wins a free kick from Onana and the way he roars. I mean, that's what we've been missing the last couple of games, and you saw that. So yeah, for me, it was a stadium going into it and a fan base going into it who knew what their role was to play, and we played it from minute one until the very last minute where we were singing everything's going to be all right. Just as a kind reminder, because we seen last season Virgil van Dijk asked Liverpool fans to show up in red, and my word, did we respond to him. The other day after the Brentford game, he turns around and says, we need you to stand us by us now more than ever. And I think you got that again. It was kind of your leader asking for something, and us as a fan base instantly going, okay, we understand the script here, we know what we need to do. It was interesting, Chris, because when Steve said before it was the welcome return of, and I didn't know what word he was going to say next, and you could have put like 4 or 5 players after that sentence. I thought he was going to say Mohamed Salah. Alexis, by the way, was excellent, but I want to talk about Mo Salah in that felt like the Salah of old. Not just the goals, it's a bit of a gift. He takes it really well, nice calm finish, but getting one-on-one with Luca Dean, beating him time and time again, the long ball getting took over to him and he was taking it down and holding the guys up. It did look like a very welcome return to form for Mo. Again, week off perhaps has helped that. Maybe, I know he scores a goal last weekend, a very good goal, maybe a little bit of confidence there, but it's no surprise that Mo Salah plays well and has completely got the beating of his left back, which he had Luca Dean on toast all game. That's obviously going to help Liverpool, but it was nice to see Mo back looking like Mo.
Yeah, it was, and I think about the sort of one of the reasons why, and I've got to put it down to the fact that Szoboszlai's inside of him, Conor Bradley's there, and he knows what's going on that side of the field a little bit more, and his game just sort of improved massively. I think the ability from Szoboszlai to look for outside of the boot passes or little dinks over the top for him really just sort of, I think the whole team in the way that they were passing to Mo at the weekend just said, we trust you, we believe in you, go and sort it out for us, and I think he really stepped up to that at times during the game. I thought he was sensational. I thought Szoboszlai was, for me, the best player on the pitch by a country mile. He was all over the place all of the time, and spreading his wings a little bit in terms of what he's capable of. You know, it wasn't just all energy. There was deft touches in there. There was bringing players in. There was getting into the box. I mean, it was just magnificent midfield performance. And for me, the way that he sort of led that press was brilliant, because that's something that we've not really had, those energy levels. And I think that feeds into what Chloe was talking about with Anfield. I think if you give us a high press, you're going to get more energy. I wasn't in the ground, I was at a wedding in Scotland, but I've been there enough times to know that high energy pressing lifts everybody, because we're like, go on, and then it feeds into songs and chants and everything else. And I think Salah worked really hard defensively for the team as well, and that allowed us to press high. I loved what Gakpo was doing, dropping into that midfield and letting Szoboszlai go further forwards. It was just a really complete midfield performance, albeit I'm looking at it going, I still can't believe they didn't go after our weaknesses. I still can't believe it, because you really did just play into Anfield's hands there and Liverpool's hands. And I agree with what Steve's just said about the other two teams we're going to face this week. And I think those other two teams shouldn't. Yeah, maybe
City might a little bit. We'll see. We'll talk about that in part 2. The interesting thing though, Steve, is like, to be fair to Aston Villa, you live by your principles, you die by your principles. If Morgan Rodgers' shot isn't as deflected as much by Conor Bradley or whatever, they played right through us on that. They carved us open.
He did that a couple of times, by the way.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. If that shot goes in, Unai Emery's goes, that's why I do it, because it was ping, 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 ping. Sometimes, whether I don't know if it's luck, because it's a block by Conor Bradley, so maybe not a bit of luck. The goalkeeper makes a fabulous save from Matty Cash's deflected effort. Like, Unai Emery sitting there going, if either of those go in, I'm fully justified in my team playing as we do, because Villa aren't really built to go long. Ollie Watkins isn't winning many long balls, and they haven't really got too much in terms of that type of option. So sometimes it just goes your way, and I felt, as good as Liverpool performed, much better than usual. Sometimes you need the rub of the green as well. And, if that one deflects a little bit less off Conor and goes in, or Mamardashvili doesn't quite get up there off Virgil van Dijk, it's a different story. Sometimes you just need the rub of the green to go your way as well.
Yeah, you do, and obviously the one that comes off the post and everyone's big sigh of relief. 10 minutes into the game, when your goalkeeper's giving the ball 1 to the stand and 2 to a red shirt, you kind of get a message on the pitch, we don't need to do that. And whilst I take your points, I think Ollie Watkins is a really good channel runner, and they didn't use that at all in the game whatsoever. And I was sat watching it with my lad and said, all we've got to do is just the Szoboszlai thing, the press, be the one that goes in, or Ekitike, whoever it was. They took turns. Go and put a bit of pressure on Martinez, who'll give us the ball back. And they did, time and time again. And we know football managers are stubborn creatures, aren't they, at the best of times? And that's Emery's way to play, and it'll be Guardiola's way to play, and it'll be Alonso's way to play as the week progresses. They never stopped, looked at it. Who's the people on the pitch saying, boys, this isn't working, you can't keep giving them the ball back? The goal, which we'll get to, comes from exactly that. So I think you're right, comes off the base of the post, we get away with one, that the save from Mamardashvili, who's going the wrong way. That's a really good stop, that. You only get that if you're 6'6", by the way. We're warning signs for us. Those aside, Aston Villa never controlled the game at all. Not for a second did they control any part of that game. And it was like a couple of years ago when we beat them 3-0 at Anfield. It was for a long time, it was the performance of the season, that game at Anfield a few years ago. They seem to play in a way, and they always have played in a way, that we have a really good record against Aston Villa. And I did think, if you're a manager, you've probably got to tear up your copybook and say, right, this is what they're struggling with, let's go and give them a bit of that. And they didn't. So the one that comes off the post and the save is a real warning sign. It's a real, alarm bells are ringing. But we settled down, took control of the game, and much better.
Game state's so important, isn't it? Because it all changes if we go 1-0 down, and that's the problem that we've had over the last few weeks, is those early goals have been killing our confidence and just been killing us and forcing us into wilder and wilder attacking formations with players and stuff like that. But it goes our way, and then we get our confidence up, and we're able to completely take control of the game and take it away from Aston Villa. And it's so easily balanced, isn't it, and swayed one way or another, a football match. It's mad.
Commentator actually said 3 times leading up to it. We're approaching 20 minutes and Liverpool have not conceded a goal outside of 20 minutes for the last 7 or 8 games. So to get to that point and not concede and then literally watch them grow in confidence and take a step forward where the collective press as opposed to individuals trying to do it and it not working, it all seemed to come together at that point.
And then for me, sorry Steve, I'm looking at it thinking, God, this backline does not feel a lot less shaky than the last few weeks, like, as well. Like, and I think, you know, I'm not going to put that all down to Milos Kerkez and Andy Robertson, but I felt a lot more comfortable watching them, and you know, I think the manager was justified in his decision to play Robertson.
And it's difficult, as I was saying, to take anything away from it because they just didn't play into what was hurt Liverpool a little bit. Like I say, the Rodgers one that hits the post, actually Conor Bradley gets a touch on it, so you think maybe that's well defended. But like, we didn't, like, for example, if Aston Villa would have gone long towards Andy Robertson, how would he have got? We'll never know, Chloe. And that's the thing that I think I took from as well as from a Liverpool point of view, is that Aston Villa really did play into our hands. Mention those chances they had. I think Liverpool twigged on very, very quickly what they were trying to do. And I saw Arne Slot on the TV coverage, like, changing the press. He was telling different people to go. They were happy for Emi Martinez to have the ball. Usually when the goalie's got the ball and he's doing the little stand on your feet thing, you try and press him. Liverpool, like, I think Liverpool don't think he's very good with his feet, and so it proved. They did learn on the job. I just think, I don't know what this means long term, because they didn't try and do what's hurt us. Any team, well, 2 teams have started to play footy against us in the last couple of weeks. One got beat 5-1 and one got beat 2-0. So it's hard to get anything long term, but we just needed to win. So who really cares, I suppose, at this point in time?
Yeah, look, I still go back to that first half, and I thought the way they managed to find space was far too easy, by the way. I thought they had some moments where
Rodgers got on the ball a lot, didn't he?
Where our midfield was just completely taken out of the game, and it was, 4v3 at the back. But like you mentioned, Liverpool grow in confidence, and once, we grow within that confidence, we all play better. I think individuals playing and raising their level really helped us. I mean, I saw a different Maka, I saw a different Robbo, I saw a different Conor Bradley, I saw a different Mo Salah to what I've been seeing. Gravenberch really helped being back in the side. So, I mean, there was... The problem that I have is I think it's great for a little bit of confidence, and, we needed this going into the week that we've got. But once again, I'm not sure how much I can take from it, because if you get to Real Madrid and then a Trent Alexander-Arnold's on the ball and he's looking for the Vinicius Junior running behind Conor Bradley, I can't tell you if Liverpool are going to be able to deal with that, because that's not what we were given against Aston Villa. And the previous times we've been shown that, we've really, really struggled from it. So once again, I don't know how much you can take from that performance, but what you can say is it's possibly the most in-control game of football we've been in this season. I think the last 20 minutes we were in the most control out of any game of football we've played. And it helps getting a win against a side who was in form, who beat Manchester City the other week. It gives you a little bit of a positive to go into the week, in which hopefully the players feel like they've improved. They had better individual performances, and therefore they can kick on from there. Whether tactically we've actually solved the problem that we've had, I'm not actually sure though, because I will find that out, in the next couple of weeks.
It is
nice not to get beaten with the same big stick for 90 minutes that we have for the last half a dozen games, isn't it? That might do us a world of good.
Mate, a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Just giving the lads a clean sheet is massive, isn't it?
For what it's worth as well, everyone's lamenting Villa for their tactics and stuff. Those are tactics that had won them 4 Premier League games on the spin. They beat Fulham, they beat Burnley, they beat Tottenham, they beat Manchester City. So although they might not be doing the exact thing that beat you, they're still good at what they do, and they showed that at times they're still a good team. You still got to be at your best to beat Aston Villa. Granted, again, there's a good gift there for the first goal, but I don't think we should also, while admitting that they didn't exactly try and attack the flaws that we've got with the long ball and the set pieces. They had a couple of long throws that we dealt with. You still got to go and beat a good team. We were feeling, we were on the same exact level of points at the start of this game, and we got there in completely different circumstances. They'd started rubbish and had really turned it around. We'd gone the other way and we're in a really poor run of form. So there is still confidence to be taken from the fact that, City couldn't stop them doing that, Spurs couldn't stop them doing that, but we did.
In open games of football, there's not many better than us, to be fair. And if you're going to do that, you're asking for trouble, really, is my opinion on that. And whilst you're right, they've taken some hearty scalps in recent weeks. If you come and play toe-to-toe with Liverpool, you're going to get beat. Let's be honest, you're going to get beat, or you're going to have a long day. So yeah, you're right. We have spoke about the fact they missed an opportunity to put us under pressure. and just gave us a chance to do the things that we do well, whereas the games against Brentford and people like that was a bit of an Alamo, it was a bit of a battering, wasn't it? It was really, really physically tough, certainly in the flanks down that our right-hand side was an absolute nightmare. But they gave us an opportunity to showcase what we do well, and hopefully the two other games this week will do very, very similar. As I said before, Villa have always played that way against Liverpool, and we've always had massive degrees of success against them. So whilst you can say, and you're right, we don't know whether we've solved the problem, and we won't know until we play a workmanlike team that's set piece orientated rather than come and play football in front of, we won't really know. But what we can do and what the lads would have done, you're 100% right, Chris, in a clean sheet. What's that worth to us at the moment in terms of what we've had in the last 6 or 7 weeks, and a day where we can do what we want to do, and the things that we work on in training are the things that we do well, rather than trying to sort of repel long throws and flick-ons, which is, you can only work on that to some degree. How do you do a week's worth of zone and marking training? You probably can't. So to be able to go and do and showcase and give the lads a good feeling, because when we come off, they'll all be in the change room going, that's what we do, that's much better. It was assisted by their tactics, but you still got to beat what's put in front of you, and to do it comprehensively with that much control, I think bodes really well going forward.
I think there's pressure there as well, by the way, for Liverpool, because of the fact that we essentially threw a midweek game for it.
Massively.
You know, you are now looking at that going, you have to win, and winning wasn't enough either. The amount of people that I spoke to, they said we need a performance as well. Yep. That's pressure, and we stuck up.
Yeah, well, they looked well. To be fair to them, like, they look well rested. They looked full running, because there's been a lot of comments about the press this year. Like, where's Liverpool's press gone? And my answer has always been, you can't press teams who aren't going to play football. If they're how would you press long ball football? You can't. You've got to win second balls, and Liverpool haven't been great at that this season. But at least what we saw from the lads is, Arne Slot he gave them the week off, and Chris is right. When you give the lads the week off, you're almost putting them on their toes to say, you better run. Like, if we've effectively thrown a game of footy here to give you a break, we can't look lethargic against Aston Villa. We've got to come out and run your nuts off, basically. And to be fair, most of them did that.
Yeah, they did. Like you said, there was nowhere for them to hide. There was no excuses behind that performance. You had to perform. And even then, I mean, you can look at Slot, but Slot gave you the entire week off to prepare you for this game. So it's used on the pitch. You've got to implement it. And yeah, there was no excuses for them. They had to go out and perform. And I just thought, I was a little bit shocked, but I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of players who were just a lot better than how they've been playing. I mean, I mentioned it a minute ago, Maka looked like a different footballer from what he's looked like. I thought Conor Bradley...
He looked like a footballer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Instead of, someone swimming.
A salesman.
Yeah. I thought Conor Bradley, that's his best game all season for me. I thought he played well. Like you said there, Robbo and Kirkers, the problem we've had with them is both of them have been at fault for a couple of goals. I thought Robbo looked good. So, yeah, it was just Mo Salah, just what it's like to have a Mo Salah who time after time after time is Megs and Luca Digne and saying, see you later, I've taken you out the game. Just a bit of spark, someone to light a fire under everybody's arse. And I felt like there was a couple of players on the pitch who were doing that, which really helped. And after the game, I was sat there laughing because somehow we'd found ourselves on the same amount of points as Bournemouth in third. Like, they were second, we were third. I think we're still third due to goal difference. But to think that we'd lost 4 on the bounce in the Premier League and somehow you were still third with this win,
It's mad when you consider it's our worst start for like 10 years or something.
We could have been 11th, by the way.
And don't get me wrong.
If we'd have lost, we'd have been 11th.
Exactly. So, like, one win just felt like it just felt massive, and you were literally shocked by the fact that you were like, bloody hell, we're third. And look, we're miles away from Arsenal, but still, it was more of a, we've lost 4 on the bounce, and somehow, loads of people were talking about a top 4 race, all of these things, the pressure on Slot, and then you get a win and you're somehow third in the Premier League.
That's the problem with being in a top 4 race. Yeah. That's what fucking happens, isn't it?
All the time. So many people.
You can go 11th to 3rd in a week, and you're like, oh.
It's such a tight Premier League. If our Blue Brothers next door get beat later as well, we'll be 4th, because the mighty Sunderland are knocking on the door. The Premier League is ridiculously tight, absolutely.
It is all just like a reaction to high pressing sides, all this direct football nonsense though, isn't it? Well, it's what's happened. It's like, shit, how do we beat them? Oh, right, okay, well, we're going to have to do this. Right. And I think the problem for us is that, you know, there was, me and Josh were talking about this on the deep dive last week, is maybe there's like some kind of, they've all just sort of done it together in secret on the same season. Right, we're all going to get big rocks in and we're all going to kick the ball long and this will screw Liverpool right over. But then you've also got this like, we've gone like short, we've gone smaller, we've gone these technical players, like your Florian Wirtz and everything, and it's just not right for the style of football that we're coming up against. And yet, Mikel Arteta seemed to see this coming 3 years ago when he started buying centre-halves for every position. And it's like, how's this happened? Like this tactical trend, it's mental.
I think
it's all coming around.
He's built that, to be fair. That is a deliberate tactic for Arsenal and Arsenal alone, isn't it? But you're right, everyone else. But
even the
teams, to it, haven't they?
Even the teams coming up are doing it. Like no one's really trying to play properly. Well, we'll say properly.
Well, every time you do, you go back down.
That's what I'm saying. I completely understand why it's happening.
Because if that's the point, how many times are Everton close to relegation, but the teams below them tried to play football, and Everton were like, "We're just better. We're better at you than that." Even if you come and try and do that.
That's what's fantastic, and it always has been about the Premier League, the different styles of football that you were getting. We ended up having, you know, rightly or wrongly, 20 teams playing the same way. And Burnley come up after 100 points or whatever, tried to play out. You ain't got as good players as the other teams in the league, and they're all playing the same way. You've got to find an advantage. There's nothing wrong with the way the football is being played in this country right now. It's hurting us. That's the problem. Yeah. That's why we don't like it.
Yeah, we need to adapt.
We need to adapt to it. Yeah, absolutely. And the only way we can do that, like Steve said, is we're going to have to keep coming up against teams, and we're going to have to prove that we can stop it, because then teams will try something else.
It's not going to happen until Nottingham Forest turn up with Dicey after the international break. I don't think Madrid and City are going to do it. But
see, no, I think it's smart to not entirely, you know, scrap your tactics, but I think if you see little margins of where Liverpool are struggling and you can get the gains there, I don't get, you know, not every time, but sometimes if you've got a special player like Trent on the ball, look at the diagonal ball and behind the fullbacks, look at the ball over the top, and that will, like, that's
a bit different than playing for set. That's a bit different than playing for set pieces, though.
True, but there is still ways that people can bully us from these set pieces with long throws or anything. And I just think if there's something there, someone who has that ability to put a ball there, then I think teams would be stupid not to do that. It's kind of
like we used to say, teams without skill will try and out-muscle you. They'll up the physicality, and they'll put big lads in the middle of the park and they'll try and dominate you physically. Now that kind of has run its course as well. So now what they're doing is they're using those same big lads to cause you a nightmare with flick-ons and leg runs into the box and things like that. And it's not pretty football, and it's not for the purist. You're 100% right when you say it's smart. You use what you've got to get the best that you can, and you go to Anfield as a side that does that, and the world doesn't expect you to get anything. So I don't like the phrase free hit, but it kind of is. So you go there and you try it, and if it doesn't work and you lose, well, no one cares because you weren't expected to win anyway. So you set yourself up and go, because I think the fullbacks, and I'm sure you'll agree, have been probably our biggest issue all season. And Bradley looked like he read the script and understood what was expected of him and didn't get in Mo's way, because previously he'd been dragging his marker outside of Mo and filling up that space he wants to play in for me. And you look at Mo Salah and he's going, well, I've got no space to play. Able to isolate Luca Digne, as Chloe pointed out. So, yeah, it's smart to use those tactics against a side that struggles again. Why wouldn't you? But that's now, for me, the change in terms of, I'm just going to put 2 6'5" centre midfielders in there and try and bully you like they did with Henderson in his last season. You were able to run off him by physically being stronger than him. Now they're just setting up their set pieces to cause us problems because they know we struggle with it.
Well, on that, Villa did try the set piece stuff. They had they crowded everyone around the goalie. There was a choke slam by Onana at one point.
A DDT as well?
Yeah, after DDT. There was a lot going on there. Long throw-ins, because Liverpool did defend the set piece better. But
it wasn't just that, Steve, because I was just about to jump in and say this. You're right to point all that out, but they also tried to trick us with a short one. Yeah. They got everyone in the box and used that to go short and try and whip a ball in for it. So it wasn't I actually thought the way they did it in some aspects was really smart, because they were playing into our fear factor and then going, right, well, we'll take a quick short one here that they're not expecting, because they are expecting and then they did do that. We defended it really well.
Yeah, Liverpool did defend quite well on the set piece, which was always a bonus. Right, then let's talk Mo Salah first. Obviously, gets the goal. Chloe, 250 up for Mo. Not many easier, but I think it's a better finish than maybe he was given credit for, because it wasn't the easiest on his wrong foot. But if you don't want to give anyone an open goal there, you probably don't want to give it to Mo. But to be at 3 all-time for Liverpool, 250 goals, like, but not only that, it's the fact that he did it having played well. Like, he scored the 249th in a game where he was a bit rubbish, but to get to 250 in a game,
good goal, that 249th.
It was a very good goal, the 249th. Maybe that's given the confidence to go into this game, but just, yeah, Liverpool, if Liverpool are going to do anything, even at now, and I know like some people are quick to write Mo off, and I was one thinking maybe he does deserve a little timeout, and he's had a little bit of that, and maybe that's given him a little kick up the backside as well, but just, yeah, brilliant to get him back on the goal sheet, brilliant to get him back playing well, but also like that's a huge landmark for him. Like, what an achievement for him. It
is. You are looking at a Liverpool legend, and you know, one of the top ones there. And I don't think, I mean, we all adore him, but I don't think we'll ever appreciate him until he's no longer at the club. And then you look back and go, my God, what a special footballer. You don't get them come around many often. So, yeah, I thought it was a much improved performance from him. How many times have we joked last season it was a case of Liverpool, just give the ball to Mo Salah and he'll do the rest for you. But he was absolutely everywhere for Liverpool the other day. The amount of times we could give him the ball under pressure, this is something that we've really struggled at, is getting someone to hold the ball up and get us out of those positions so we can get further up the pitch. He was receiving the ball under pressure with a lad on his back, and he was being able to pass it off into midfield and do the give and goes. The amount of times, like I mentioned, he megs Luca Digne and he was away from the full back. And yeah, his goal he takes really well. I mean, he probably doesn't expect it to come to him. It's a really, bad pass and mistake from Emi Martinez, but it's a really good finish. But I just thought his overall performance was so much better. He was lively, and he was someone that you could rely on, you could depend on, and we've not been able to say that in the last couple of weeks. He looked up for it, and once again he looked like he was saying, right, I'll put us on my back and I'll get us over the line then, lads. He was absolutely everywhere, and like you mentioned, helped out by the fact that Sobbo played so well. Connor Bradley was much improved, but a lot of the times you've been sat there and usually saying he's too far away from the goal, have you like he's not been in the game. Everything good came from Mo Salah or Dominic Szoboszlai in that game of football.
The interesting one in terms of tactically as well, Steve, you mentioned before what the full-backs and the little bit of looking around area, heat map wise and stuff. Connor Bradley stayed because and Andy Robertson went, and it was almost a back three for Liverpool a lot of the times. Most of Connor Bradley's touches are in our half, most of Andy Robertson's flying down the left-hand side. That was a clear tactical tweak as well. Maybe you're right, they play John McGinn nominally off the left, so maybe Connor Bradley's thinking, if I take him back towards Mo Salah, what's the point? Leave Mo Salah on an island against Luca Digne. They got success, but actually they got success down the left. The Gakpo-Robertson link-up, I know Gakpo cutting inside and shooting over the bar a couple of times annoys people, but that's kind of what he's asked to do. But if it just felt like a bit more natural with Andy Robertson back in there on that left-hand side, the balance of the team seemed much better, because him and Gakpo have clearly got an understanding, and whereas Connor Bradley was quite happy to stay and leave Mo Salah alone.
If you're playing a team that's going to try and stretch you've got to play Kerkez because of the physicality, the extra pace. If you're playing in a game where you're going to see the lion's share of the ball, then you give it to Andy Robbo. Andy Robbo's your left back because his use of the ball is better. It doesn't look lost at the moment. For me, Kerkez looks really lost in a Liverpool shirt, and I've no doubt it will come true. It's not, and it'll come good. It's not the first time we've seen it, but right now, I think it's Robbo's shirt and it's Kerkez's job to take it off him, and I'm happy with that. That's a challenge for him to go and do. I didn't really think that you should just sign him and say, there's the left back shirt, it's yours. Andy Robbo, you watched the season from the bench. He's got too much to offer for that. I think we might see a bit more of that with Bradley being a little bit less aggressive in terms of pushing up the pitch, purely because it just takes so much away from what Mo Salah wants to do. And if you've got Szoboszlai coming over to the right to link up with Salah, and you've got Bradley on his bike trying to go past him, because you can count on one hand in the last 3 years how many times Trent went beyond Salah, because he would put balls into areas from Beckham-esque type positions, wouldn't he, where he could use that range of passing. It's kind of alien, it's an uncharted territory for them all, and suddenly you've got Szoboszlai, you've got Salah, you've got Bradley, and you've got their markers all playing in that little area that Mo Salah's been so effective for in the last 8 years. And it's kind of like, well, what do we do? And then you look at the other side when Kerkez is playing and he hasn't got the capacity to bomb on. So we're kind of lost and we get very narrow and it becomes very predictable and teams find it easier to just suffer our chances. Robbo's is a better user of a ball, understands the team dynamic, what we want to do as a team a little bit better. And what strikes me as a little bit with Kerkez is we thought we'd need to replace Robbo because he struggles as a left centre-back. I think everybody would say that. And part of that struggling is getting the ball out of your feet and using it. But that's the biggest thing for me is when Kerkez is on the ball, he doesn't know what to do with it. So happy to see Robbo back in there. And we might see more down the left-hand side and being a little bit more, lock it down a little bit more down the right-hand side, because if you look back at chances created against us, it's probably like the last 20 chances, 18 of them from our right-back position. So it makes sense to have hold what you have a little bit more than gamble on it. So we might see a little bit more of Bradley being a defender first and an overlapper second.
Yeah, because usually, Chris, we're used to seeing, like Steve mentioned before, it's usually the left back. Whether sometimes it's Kerkez and sometimes it's Robbo. They're the ones that have to almost stay, and it's been the right back, whether it be Bradley, Sobbo or Frimpong going. This was a definite change of tactic.
Yeah, it felt it to me as well. I think, not saying for a second that Conor Bradley didn't cross the halfway line. He did. Yeah, he got into very good positions.
Yeah, he could have scored.
I reckon 3 times actually he's done a bit of a hit and hope cross from in the 6-yard box. We're actually a little bit more about him, and he does just pick this man out. There was 2 at the byline where he's pulling it back and he's just missed it by a yard, and 1 where he tries to drill it across the face of goal. I think he could have played a bit more of a pass rather than just a bit of a hit and hope. So he did, but he effectively got forwards and he picked his moments really well this time, I thought, Conor Bradley. And I think you're all right. I think he did tend to sit, and that's probably, for me, that's an experience and a trust thing with Andy Robertson being back in the side and knowing how good he is on the ball, like Steve mentioned. And he seems to have a better understanding with Gakpo, obviously, because they played together. But actually, the best bit of play down that left-hand side was when Ekitike was out there and whipped it to Andy Robertson. And that was the one. And I've never really looked at it and gone, oh, Ekitike playing on the left. I haven't. People have. I haven't. And I saw the link up with Robbo and went, oh, hello. That's a bit nice. I like the idea of that, because his Ekitike's sort of one-touch link-up play, and Isak's, and at times Salah's, at the weekend, that's fantastic. And if you can have a little bit more, not so laboured, not so, and Gakpo's been really effective for us, but he's really frustrating to me at the same time. He just takes a lot of touches. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a speed injection and stuff, and Robert will give you that, and Kerkez will come with time. He needs to understand the system better, man. It took Robert a long time to get to it. Everyone knows that, don't they? So we'll get there eventually, but if for now we need to just park the right back for a little bit and say, yeah, let's just keep ourselves secure, it'll be McAllister, Gravenberch, Bradley, Van Dijk and Kanate are the 5 that sit, and the other 5 attack. Cool, because it looked really structured and well organised to me.
Yeah, it's hard to count on that. A couple more then, Chloe. It was around the second goal scorer, Ryan Gravenberch. Nice to have him back. Absolutely, he's definitely starting to get more goals. He's then in that position. Listen, again, gets a bit of good fortune, but like I say, don't take the shot, you don't score the goal. But he scored 3 goals now this season. Newcastle, Everton, and then of course against Aston Villa, all from either around the edge of the box or the one against Everton where he bombed into the box. He's clearly added that to his game, whether that's instruction from the manager, just a confidence in himself or whatever, maybe just whatever it's come to, but he's still doing the same things he was always doing, and he's added this, which is, it's going to take him to another level, because obviously, he was one of our best players last year. He was in the Premier League's team of the season, PFA team of the season. But if he can start adding this to his game as well, it's going to take him from here to even higher. Yeah, it is. He's one of the most important players for Liverpool, isn't he? He's absolutely everything. He helps Liverpool get out. He helps the build-up. We all know that the quality he's got at getting out of tight spaces. He's improved so much with his defensive game and the way he positions himself. And yeah, like you said, we all know from his Ajax days that he had this kind of quality where he could impact the game with goals, with assists. And we're seeing it more now, and hopefully that does continue. And
yeah, like you said, he was in loads of spaces, run the way we'd built that up, and him to get in that position to shoot is brilliant. Gets a bit of good fortune, but he deserves it, and so glad that he's back because we've certainly missed him. A lot of people still go on about not having an actual anchor of a defensive midfielder, and you know, if we do have one of them to revert to, that might mean that you can, you know, in certain games have Gakpo a little bit more advanced, being able to do these kind of things. So yeah, very happy to see him back, and hopefully he can continue that and give us something we have been missing, a bit more organisation in the midfield, a bit more of, you know, a leggy lad who's going to be able to win the ball back, but also how many players in the past 6 weeks have looked slow on the ball, or like they kind of wanted to hide. Ryan Gravenberch's not that. You can give Ryan Gravenberch the ball under any situation. He'll try and find a way out. He'll have the confidence to try and find a way out. So it's really important that we've got that back as well. So yeah, glad to see him back. Glad to see him on the score sheet. Let's hope, you know, he's boss for the next 2 games before the international break as well, where he'll get run into the ground.
Yeah, I think that dummy in the second half was unbelievable. He's a joke. Chris, you touched on it before, but like, it would be, you could go through every player in the team because most of them play well, really, but like, I think you have to talk about Dominic Szoboszlai again, because listen, other than the horrendous back pass to Emi Martinez when he should have scored on his left foot, because that's a bad one, and if Liverpool don't win, we're all tearing our hair out if we've got it, unlike me, about that miss. But other than that, mate, he was exceptional. Like, every blade of the grass, tackles, defending, sprints, covering space, getting on the ball. He's now, like, there's been some doubts about like maybe who's been Liverpool's best player this season, because others have had peaks and troughs, and Ekitike started really well, but like, Dom Sobo's been the most consistent by far, and he's clearly Liverpool's best player this season. For a season which started with maybe doubt about his place in the squad, there's no doubt about his place in the squad now. He's one of the first names on the team.
And that's it. And I feel like we can't play as well as, without him, and in that particular position as well. I think that's the role that sort of suits him. And that's strange when you look at the players that Liverpool have signed and where he is on the football field, and you're thinking to yourself, is this a competition thing? Was he always going to sort of make that step up maybe this season? Who knows? But he seems to have added a lot to his game as well. There's definitely more, I don't know, it seems to be more creativeness to his game, maybe, stuff like that. But he's paired that with the work rate and everything that we've seen for so long. And you know, if you're Florian Wirtz right now and you're looking at the side and you're thinking, shit, how am I going to get in here? This guy's playing really bloody well. Like, I'm sure there's a plan, I'm sure there is, but right now the plan should be, and I think is, Dominic Szoboszlai. That's the plan.
Yeah, he is the plan, and not just Ashley. I don't know, it's hard to explain what I mean by this, so apologies if it doesn't make sense, but like, he just comes across like leadership skills as well. Like everyone follows him. Like he sets the press and everyone follows him. He's the one who's getting the crowd. At the end of that game against Brentford, he's the one in front of the crowd. Like, come on, let's go again. Like he is a national team captain, you know. So he's obviously got those leadership qualities. But I think that's come across, especially in this game. I thought like, yeah, the Gerrard thing's a bit of a mad comparison, because I know he wears the same number and he's different, you know, whatever, in terms of like the ability of the player, but in terms of what they both want to do. And
height of socks though as well, Steve. They're very similar. They
do look a lot, and they're both very handsome men. So and they're both really energetic midfielders.
Great carbs,
both of them. Other than that, the other similarity is they both lead by the same way. If that makes sense. They lead by their performance. Like, he doesn't look like a lad who's screaming and shouting. No. It's like, right, let's go. And it feels like his will to win and his leadership has really rubbed off on the rest of his teammates there. Like Chloe mentioned before, Alexis getting up for it and challenges getting flew in. I think he set the tone for a lot of that. Yeah, it doesn't matter where we play him. When you watch the game, he's the guy that, it's him again, it's Dom again. It's you can't take your eyes off him, can you? No, that's what I'm trying to say. And he kind of appears up everywhere, you know, during the game. So you put him at right back, he's the best player on the pitch. And I know we don't want to see that again. Put him in an 8, he's the best player on the pitch. Put him slightly further forward at the moment, he's the best player on the pitch. And you're right, Gerrard wasn't particularly a talker. He was you follow me because of what I do, and we're kind of seeing that from Szoboszlai now as well. So, and we've not seen the ceiling yet. I'm sure there's plenty more to come from him. There's more goals, and it's that consistency, because we've all sat in this room before and said he started the season so well in his first season, then he dropped off for like 10 games and seemed to almost go missing. And then there were times when last season he was absolutely
brilliant, and we're so far into the season, almost a third of the way into the season, and he's turned up every single game, and he's the guy that if you look at the thing you do, you're messing and all that, he's always in boss. Every single week he's in boss. And I think the fans love him. He's playing up to that. He knows his role in the team. You build your midfield around him and Gravenberch at the moment. McAllister, as I said before, a welcome return to form. You've got Curtis Jones who wants in, and you've got the Florian Wirtz conundrum, which is a conundrum at the moment we need to solve. But Szoboszlai is your man. And again, I think wherever he turns up on the ball, it's purposeful. He wins balls back. He's no right to win. His physicality, his pace, he's really quick. And when he makes a mistake, he's the first person to go and put that mistake right as well. So that's really good to see. And that makes everyone around you rise up. I remember reading an article that Luis Suarez wrote. He played the game with utter frustration. That's how he played the game. But because of what he delivered and because of what he was, the players around him thought, I've got to step up. I've got to match that. I've got to raise my game and be somewhere close to what he's doing. And if Szoboszlai carries on as he is, those around him will be dragged up with him because he stands out. And you don't want to play in a team where your teammate stands out. You want to stand out. So when the manager's sitting down next week and going, right, I've got 3 games, I want to be the guy that alongside Szoboszlai can't leave out. And seeing that week in, week out will really help the others around him. I
think what we learned, close to finish, obviously, we mentioned earlier, what can you take away from this? Well, it's if teams play footy against us, Liverpool will have a chance, which might bode well for the next couple of games. Now, the 2 teams that are about to play are better than Aston Villa at doing the footy stuff, but Liverpool will still have a chance. I think we learned a little bit in terms of Gravenberch and Szoboszlai are in Liverpool's best midfield, no matter what. We probably knew that anyway. Anything else we maybe learned that you can take forward going forward? I
mean, I learned that the players could play like I know they play. I don't like.
They haven't been space jammed completely.
And there was people speaking about Fabinho and the season he completely dropped off the face of the earth for Liverpool, and it felt like Stefan Bajcetic was the only lad who could run on the entire football pitch. And a lot of people were looking at McAllister and going, I don't know where his legs are. Like, he has no legs. It was just nice to know and like have the little bit of hope that no, these lads do know how to play football. Like, they know that they have that level in them and they can perform to that level. I just don't know what's not been there for them to be able to play like that. And the fact that, I don't know whether it was a mental aspect or something, but I just felt really happy about the fact that it wasn't just one player who'd improved. It was about 5 or 6 or 7 players. We've been sat here saying only 3 players are in form, only 3 players are in form, only 3 players from a game of football have played well. Well, it was hard to say a single player who didn't play well the other night, and it just felt nice that all of them had raised their level and looked like actual footballers again, instead of just maybe like a little pocket here or there of players. It felt like everybody raised the game a little bit. So that was the positive for me to take, is the fact that, these lads, it maybe if there was something mentally that was stopping them, hopefully that is out the way and they can perform to that level. Doesn't necessarily mean Liverpool aren't going to come unstuck with a different tactic, but if we can win on individual battles, if we can be a bit more physical, if we can win second balls, and if we show desire and passion from an entire team perspective, we've got so much of a better chance of winning a game of football.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they did themselves proud, most of them. Long may that continue. Hopefully it does continue going into this week. Right, we're going to go to a quick break, but before we do, it's time to give away our latest Redmen Legends subscriber prize. This is a shirt signed by loads of legends. It was from our end of season show. You've got the likes of Sammy Lee, Gary McAllister, Tasha Dowie, John Aldridge on there, Bruce Grobbelaar's on there as well. Jags from the Ragamuffins, I think, signed as well. We'll even sign it if you win. We won't if you don't want us to. We'll ask you before we get there. So one of our Redmen Legends subscribers is going to win that shirt. So we're going to spin the wheel of names right now to find out who it was who won. Let's find out. Drum roll, please. Well done. Congratulations to Adam Belton. Adam, the shirt is on its way to you. I'll email you later, see if you want us to sign it. The last person who won it, actually, we give a few of these away, did want us to sign it, which was very, very nice. Probably made it worth less money, but it was nice nonetheless.
Definitely made it worth less money.
It was a nice keepsake.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Well done to Adam. We're going to go to a quick break, during which you will find out what the next prize is. So yeah, take a look at this quick break. We'll be back after it. See you in a second. Hey everyone, it's November, and at the end of the month, one of our wonderful Redmen Plus Legend subscribers will be winning these. Yes, they had a pair of goalkeeper gloves, and they are signed by former Reds goalkeeper Bruce Grobbelaar. He won league titles, he won FA Cups, he even won the European Cup as well. And yet at the end of November, one of you lucky Redmen legends will get these goalkeeper gloves. So yeah, head on over to redmenplus.com, join us as a legend subscriber, and if you do that, at the end of the month, you'll be in the draw, and this pair of wonderful goalkeeper gloves could be on their way to you. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, if you want to... Don't ask. If you want to be in the next Redmen Legend Prize draw, simply head on over to redmenplus.com, join us as a legend subscriber.
It'd have to be like massive.
I'm not even going to tell you what was said for Chloe to say that.
I didn't even say anything. She
no,
knew
but
what I was going to say. That was the last thing.
I did know what he was going to say.
We all knew what was said. I'm trying to do a link here.
Sorry, mate.
Anyway, yeah, whatever I was saying, Redmen Plus Legends, go and win Bruce Grobbelaar's gloves. Chris won't do in them what he said he might have been doing in the break. Unless you pay more, then he might. I'm going to leave that one there. Right then, Ste, I'll come over to you. Let's get some order back in this house. I'll come to the calmer head rather than you two idiots. Real Madrid, Manchester City. We mentioned before what teams playing against Liverpool. I don't think either of them are going to change too much what they do. I don't think Real Madrid are allowed to change what they do. You know, Real Madrid. City maybe, with Haaland up front. But, you know, Liverpool have got back on track, of course, with Aston Villa. I think loads of people were looking at that Villa game and the importance of the result because they knew what was coming next. You could easily, in any season, lose to Real Madrid and Manchester City. Any side ever can lose to those two sides. Madrid at home, City away. But... do you take confidence on the fact that, Chloe mentioned before, Liverpool like a football team again? We know what they're going to do. We dealt with it last year. Are Liverpool equipped to deal with it again?
Better equipped to deal with that than some of what we've seen in recent weeks, absolutely. They're in really good form at the moment. And they're, under Alonso, they play a lot more on the counter-attack. They beat Barcelona recently. I think they had 31% possession, which is ridiculous for a Real Madrid team. So they will try and catch you. So they will lull you in and then try and catch you. And... yeah, they're obviously a very, very good side, and we'll need to be at it at the races 100%. So it will give us an opportunity to play football rather than being an atrocious war of set pieces. They will try and do their thing, and we will try and do our thing. It'll be a really interesting matchup. Thanks to you, I was at the game last year. 2-0 win at home. Within 15 minutes, we didn't look like we were playing Real Madrid. We were all over them. And don't know it'll be quite as easy as that this time out. It never usually is against them, is it? And they've had our number a little bit, haven't they, shall we say? So I think you welcome the opportunity to get the ball down and play with it as opposed to managing set pieces. But they offer plenty of threats, and it'll be a very open game of football, and I would imagine both sides will create quite a bit.
Yeah, they've been good this season. They're 5 points ahead of Barcelona in the Liga. They've won 10 out of 11 games.
They've only lost one all season.
Yeah, they've won all 3 of their games in the Champions League so far. Like, I mean, for a start for a manager, this is brilliant for Xabi Alonso. This is exactly what he needed, isn't it, really, this season? So, yeah, I expect that this is going to be very difficult for Liverpool. But I also expect that the atmosphere in the stadium for this one isn't going to be group stage atmosphere. No. This is going to be knockout stage atmosphere, because it was last season against them as well, wasn't it? And when Real Madrid come to town, man, Liverpool fans are going to be up for it.
Yeah, they are. And there's also, you know, little pieces to add that. Trent coming back. Xabi Alonso, who, you know, a lot of people wanted to be a manager. He obviously came here previously with Leverkusen and they got battered. Luis Diaz got a hat-trick. So I think he'll want to prove himself a little bit as well. So there's just little other stories, as well as the fact that it's a massive game of football, that to me just makes it even more, you know, volatile. And I cannot wait to boo. That is all I'm saying.
If I was Xabi Alonso, I just wouldn't have him anywhere near it.
No.
I just don't think it's worth it.
It'll be interesting what they do. Let's talk about Trent then. I was going to leave it later, but it's been brought up. Like, Danny Carvalho got injured, which is an issue. So maybe Trent hasn't played for a while since the injury. He's been on the bench. He hasn't really featured.
He came on against Barcelona, didn't he?
They've had
Valverde.
They've had Valverde play that fullback.
What a player!
And he's a bit. Could do a bit of everything, but it will be fascinating to see what the Alexander Arnold decision is, because Chris, from a purely football point of view, you know, they started with Valverde at right back. Which is fine, wherever they can do that. with Carvajal being out, it would make sense probably just put Trent back in. But like you said, he hasn't been doing it anyway. They won 4-0, so why bother? But if he's not going to play, I think it's worse to bring him off the bench because that, you know what I mean? It's a difficult one for Xabi Alonso. I think he might just start him.
I honestly, I think for someone who understands our club, I think he should just not even have him in the squad. Like, I just, what did Sterling ever bring to City really at Anfield? Apart from abuse and Liverpool side getting better. Like, even Guardiola learned, sometimes you just got to take him out the way. Like, you know what I mean? Real Madrid will have a much better time of it, I think, if they just ignored the fact that Trent Alexander-Arnold plays for them for a week. And to be fair, they've been doing it for a couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah, since he got there, really, to be fair. I mean, also, you know, he's helped himself out by, you know, being injured for the majority of the time because it is a tougher decision for Xabi Alonso. If, you know, he was playing and he could have gave Danny Carvajal, you know, a little run for his money, then yeah, you probably do just slot Trent back in, but it's a bit harder considering he's hardly played a game of football. What I will say is, if he does play, Cody Gakpo, you dare be nice to that lad. Cody Gakpo is a lovely lad, but he might be too nice. I want someone who's going to absolutely rip Trent apart. I want someone who's, if he's on the floor, do not help the lad up. Like, I want, like, be mean, be ruthless. That's what I need you to be, because, you know, we backed him so much about his defensive abilities, but, you know, there's definitely players who can get at him, and hopefully Liverpool have a couple of them who can get at Trent and who hopefully have beat him in training quite a few times. I don't want the, you know, nice to see you back. I don't want lovely hugs before the game. I don't want nice handshakes. I don't want, if he goes down, I don't want you to pick him back up. I don't leave him on an island on his own. Attack him and beat him time and time again, please. That's what I want. We should not be, because look, people didn't want to boo him when he was in a red shirt. That's fine. It was a red shirt. He's now in a Real Madrid shirt. I'll be booing every other one of the Real Madrid players as well. You can best believe. You're
a blanket booer.
Yes.
Non-discriminate Real Madrid booer. I like it.
However, you go up a few decibels for Trent, and I just don't think you make it a lovely homecoming. I don't think you help him out at all. I think you put him under pressure. I think you get him at him time and time again. I think you make it horrendous for him. And like I said, if he does a slide tackle, if he wins anything that he does, just do not help the lad up. Do not be nice to the lad.
It's interesting, because the more I think about it now, he's probably just going to play Valverde. I think
and if you look at tactically, Ekitike is likely to drift out there should he play. Gakpo's going to be there. You're not going to put of the two players you've got available, your defensive weaker of the two, in a position where the opposition could exploit it. And I think you're exactly right, Chris. Alonso knows Liverpool Football Club intrinsically, doesn't he? It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense to play Trent at Anfield. It really doesn't. If it was at Real Madrid's ground, absolutely. But not at Anfield. It will end up both teams playing the occasion, and that might favour Liverpool. You know, when we play Man United,
his head was on Mars.
Everything goes out the window, and you play the occasion, you play the reaction from the fans, you play the stadium. That often dictates how the game goes. That's the last thing that Alonso wants, is a subplot where Real Madrid are affected by Trent's treatment. Yeah. So you put Valverde in there; it's a safe option. Especially
after he did an interview. I mean, like,
Prime done him.
Prime done him there. I mean, the
fact that he did half the interview in Spanish just pissed all of us off.
The interviewer actually saying to him, if you get the reception you deserve, like,
he's getting the reception
you wait.
He's getting the reception
I think he actually handled that quite well.
But, like, it doesn't help Xabi Alonso with the fact that he is, once again, you said he might have played a little bit against Barca.
He hasn't played well. He hasn't played since
not since the Marseille game.
Barca? No.
Okay, so he hasn't played since Marseille, since he got injured. Yeah. The fact that he's not played at all, and he's having a convo about coming back to Liverpool and yada yada yada. We all knew that was going to be the talking point, but it doesn't help when he's then mentioned it because obviously the pile-on from all of us, we're going to go wonderful with a pack of wolves and we'll get at you. Like, it's not going to help Xabi Alonso. So I agree. I'm not necessarily sure he'll be near the starting 11. He might be involved in some capacity. But what I will say is, if for some reason he starts that game of football, we need to make it an absolute living hell.
He is a player who might or might not play, obviously.
The other thing is, as well, sorry, he could hurt us.
Oh, he
could absolutely hurt us.
He's also got a thick enough skin not to be arsed by what goes on in the ground as well.
He is one of those guys who, I think he would play better. I think you're right there.
Really?
I do.
Well, he absolutely shit the beds when facing Man United.
That's because that week he'd actually had the conversation about I'm going. And that's Madrid, come out, hasn't it?
That was that week.
That was decision week.
I think he'd just basically stand in the middle, spraying balls around and whipping fingers around at the same time. Like he's that cocky and that good at football.
Did he enjoy it when he was getting booed? Was he good when he actually got the ball when he was in a red shirt at the end of the season?
He done it. He made us better.
When he was getting booed.
Palace, he did.
When he was getting booed.
Different though, Chloe, because I think he probably didn't feel like he deserved that after. As he will tell you, 20 years at Liverpool.
Now he'll be used to it. But again, he might not play. Let's talk about the players who might play or will play, because they've got some bloody good ones. Very quickly, like
the entire team.
Yeah, all of them. Obviously Mbappe. Liverpool are going to come up against two of the most feared strikers in Europe over the next couple of days. Ste obviously start with killing Mbappe, then they'll go to Erling Haaland, Vinicius, Bellingham, Camavinga, Tchouaméni. They're all there. And then against City, it's going to be the Erling Haaland show, which is a bit different. I think against City, Liverpool might say, if we can stop Erling Haaland, we've got a good chance there. It's hard against Real Madrid, obviously, to go, right, if we stop him, they've still got 3 or 4 other ones. Chloe mentioned in the first part about like people winning their individual battles. There are individual battles all over this pitch. Conor Bradley probably up against Vinicius, you would say.
Yeah.
Can Konate and probably Konate and Mbappe will be the one, because that's where Konate.
I think Mbappe will pick Konate.
Yeah, he likes to drift left anyway, doesn't he? Yeah. On the other side, Bellingham's late runs, can Liverpool's DMs cope with that? Whoever they play on the right, because it's been a revolving door on the right for Real Madrid. That's a challenge for one of Kirkers or Robertson. There are individual battles all over the pitch that Liverpool are going to have to win here. Where against City, they're probably thinking, let's do everything we can to stop Haaland and stop the ball to Haaland, and we've got half a chance. It's difficult to do that against Real Madrid because they've got so many lads who can hit.
Well, it is, and last season when we beat them, Vinicius didn't play, did he?
No.
At Anfield, so Mbappe drifted out to the left, and obviously we all remember the tackle from Bradley. That might be deliberately why they suppressed Bradley's attacking intent at the weekend, because you have to do that against Real Madrid. You can't go and get caught 20 yards beyond Mo Salah when Vinicius picks up the ball with 30 yards of space to run into, because you're in all kinds of trouble if that happens. So they might have deliberately done that as a prelude to what's coming against Real Madrid. So if so, that's really smart thinking, really clever to have had 90 minutes where you do think like that. Bellingham's run into some really rich form in the last couple of weeks as well. He an assist against Barcelona was absolutely ridiculous. Hopefully we can sort him out. You're right. You can probably beat Man City if you win 4 of your individual battles, because they do give up chances. But one of those individual battles is the Erling Haaland one, and that's easier said than done. With Real Madrid, there's probably 9 battles on the pitch that you've got to get somewhere near. You know, the lad who went from Bournemouth, Hussein, he's had a decent start to the season. And they've got Militao back now as well, haven't they, from his ACL? That was touch and go for the time, wasn't it?
Because they lost 2 centre-halves. They lost
Rudiger
and Alaba, both out. So they needed Militao back.
But again, we should be worried about what we do. These are the games to worry more about what we do than what they do. But I can't help think that half an eye on Bradley's starting position and where he sets up throughout the game as a sort of a contingency for Vinicius, because that will be their outball every single time they get it. Yeah, absolutely.
The left back position for us is interesting, Chris, because Steve mentioned before, Andy Robbo against Pace might be difficult. Like once we knew Emi Buendia was going to be injured for Aston Villa, it was always going to be Gasson. And he's not rapid, he's fine, but I think Andy Robertson cope with that. The interesting thing with Real Madrid is they do rotate that right-hand side. They had the lad Franco the weekend, whose name is fitting for that football club. But then they've had loads over there. It's been, again, a little bit of a rotation over there. Because I'd like to think if it's maybe a slower player, maybe Andy Robertson's there, but if you've got an absolute flying machine or someone down there, maybe Vinicius can go over there or whatever.
Rodrigo.
maybe they're ones you think, maybe.
Is he anywhere near them now?
Yeah,
is he still in and around?
Him and Hendrick keep coming off the bench more than start, and he has got options over there. That's the trick for me, is that obviously you don't know what they're going to do over there, and that makes it difficult to pick what left back. Would you just say, you know what, I just trust Andy Robbo, even if it is an absolute flying machine, we're going to have to learn to cope with it, because there's a chance it might be, a chance it might not be. It's tough, innit?
I genuinely think there's a bigger game this week than Real Madrid.
So Robbo plays against City.
I think if you can tell me that Andy Robertson is going to be 100% for all 3 of these games in these 8 days, then play them.
Yeah.
Play him. But I'm not sure he can be. And for me, I think we can still get over a loss in the Champions League. We can't get over many more. But I'm not sure if we've got aspirations of still looking above us in the table, we can take a loss at the weekend against Man City, and that's away from home as well. So, look, if I had my choice and there was no games in and around it and whatever, I'd probably play Robertson, but that doesn't work like that, does it?
That's what I'm saying, just can you do the games in the week? It's interesting because City, again, on the right-hand side, they play Czechia, and normally they're a little bit...
Sorry, let's just remember Robbo played midweek as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure the case. So there's a game times interesting. Oscar Bob, Savio, Savino rather. So again, it's maybe their ones Andy Robertson will be more comfortable against, so we might see Kirk. That's the thing, Chloe.
What did everyone else think on that, by the way?
I'll jump in. I think that when in a game where your possession is absolutely key, the fact that Kirk can't find a red shirt with the ball at the moment is a major worry to me in that regard. Maybe against City you defend more narrowly to sort of combat the Haaland thing, and he comes inside because he's a little bit quicker than Robbo these days. So I can see you didn't think about that till you just said it. You're asking Andy Robbo to play 4 games in 10 days. We've run his blood to water over the years, haven't we? So there's definitely been a bit of a trade-off in that regard. I probably play Robbo, Madrid and Kirkes against City purely because I think you need to defend really, really narrow and be combative against City. It
depends on how he's rocked up, but there's a big gap between Madrid and City, so it depends how he feels. You might be able to get away with it, but it's more... I think I would probably be veering towards Kirkes on Tuesday with Robbo away, just for the fitness thing. But it's one of them. Chloe, the team that played against Aston Villa, it will be interesting to see if the manager makes any changes Saturday night into Tuesday night. And now loads of them had Wednesday off, and one of the reasons he gave them all the rest maybe was that he just wants all 3 of them. He wants to hold all of them all week, which is definitely, listen, they're professional footballers, they can all play 3 games. Like, they can't expect with having the whole week off. He might just go same again, all 3 games, and go, you know what, that worked, let's just do it against Real Madrid, and then we've got 5 days off and we do it again. Because in terms of knocking on the door, one left back is an option. There's a Florian Wirtz conversations had, and maybe a Champions League game suits him more. And then Curtis Jones is back in training, so maybe Curtis becomes an option. Other than that, we know he just doesn't pick Chiesa, so there's no way even talking about that one at this moment in time. There aren't that many changes that we know that he feasibly could make. Do you see a world where he just goes bang, 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 all 3 games, same again?
Yeah, I guess so, but once again, it's whether Robbo's got it in his legs. It's whether, look, McAllister was back for a game. However, if you'd have asked me after that midweek game against Crystal Palace if Maka should have been anywhere near the starting 11 against Aston Villa, I'd have told you no. And then he improved his level. So it also depends on individual performances. I think Curtis Jones being back is really good for us. I don't necessarily think he'll start, but to come off the bench, because I did think he was quite good whilst he was available. It's tough to say, because you can say to them, you're on international duty after this, but a lot of them get ran into the ground on international duty as well. So I'm torn for what I'd do, because I see your point in which City, if you have any chance of getting back in a Premier League title race, or if you still want to dream about that, you need Robbo for the City game. However, I do think Manchester City will have more of the ball in that game, and I think Liverpool might have more of the ball in this Madrid game. So on the ball, I'd rather see Robbo. So I think I'd start Robbo Real Madrid and see how he is after, having, I think it might be 4 days off. But I could see him going, back to back to back. My point is, what happens to Florian Wirtz? What game is a Florian Wirtz game? I just don't know what a game of Florian Wirtz is.
I'll tell you one thing, Real Madrid's a Dominic Szoboszlai game.
Yes.
Well,
Every game's a Dominic Szoboszlai game right now, to be fair.
Where'd you find him?
Well, it's McAllister. That was
McAllister for me.
That was my
though.
next question, because does Florian Wirtz play?
But then if you, right now, if you play Florian Wirtz, where are you playing him? Because Dom's playing the best in that position.
You've got to be looking at left side.
Left side of the midfield,
Yeah.
That's what it'd be.
That's not what he was bought for.
No.
Not having that.
Yeah, well, things have changed, haven't they? Like that.
That's fine.
That's just. I'm just wondering whether the manager does put him in.
Yeah.
I do think it would probably suit him a little bit more than the Premier League.
It would suit Real Madrid, for me, would suit him more than the Man City game. I think Man City's more physical. I think it's bigger battles. In terms of, like, I reckon they're gonna have loads of the ball, and you're gonna have to.
I'd play him against Matthias Nunes all day long.
On that left side
against City. Yeah.
Play him left wing. Maybe that's an option. I'm just thinking.
What about Alonso with Wirtz? Does Wirtz know anything about Alonso's systems? That
Well, it's a different system,
Well, he's playing
isn't
back
it?
four now, and he's
Yeah.
changed it now.
He knows the principles. The principles will stay the same.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, the
He's not
principles.
playing full-backs as forwards.
No, I know, but
at times
it's
it was
about
Grimaldo
space.
and
It's about
Frimpong
space.
yeah, it was, and you're right. And I guess the difference between what I see with Wirtz in the Liverpool shirt and Wirtz in the Leverkusen shirt is everything Leverkusen did, he touched the ball at some point. Whether it was just dropping the ball into space for somebody to run onto, it was like metronomic. It was like really, really good to watch, and it was really fluid. For Liverpool, see this comment that Arne Slot said about I can't come away from my footballing principles. I struggle with that because we brought him in because he was like the closest thing to Jurgen Klopp, and then we went and bought a load of players in the summer to be the furthest thing from Jurgen Klopp in terms of playing totally on the front foot. So it's, at this moment in time, I look at Florian Wirtz, and when he gets on the ball, I think, wow, the balance is ridiculous, the tricks are ridiculous, the little balls around the corner, they're sensational. You've almost got to make that work. You've got to find a way to make it work. And then you look at Szoboszlai at the weekend and you think, but he just gets English football, and it's a better fit for him to play in those games because he gives you a multitude of things that Wirtz can't. How on earth do you find a way for a stunning footballer to get into the Liverpool side when people are making a case for, and you did it earlier, potentially putting Ekitike out on the left when Isak's fit and having that as a front three? You can't spend £116 million on a player and have him sitting watching off the bench. There are conversations going on in the club well above you saying, what do we spend that money for if you can't play him? So it's really, really difficult. And I called it a conundrum before, and for me it remains that. What is the best thing? And I think Nunes at right back for Man City is a weakness.
You know what I think he plays? I think he plays against City because I think we go 4-4-2 against Man City.
We did last year.
A diamond.
4-4-2 effectively.
We did Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai.
I think he does that. I think it's Ekitike and him, and then behind them you've got we will have maybe Gravenberch, or he could play on the left or the right in that formation, whatever. I think Liverpool might go 4-4-2 at City. The Invader 97 here says actually.
Can you only play Wirtz in a diamond though? That's what I kind of come around to that way of thinking.
We'll find out when. I think we won't know properly until Isak's fit and available what the plan
exactly.
was. But the Invader 97 says any chance Wirtz comes in for Ekitike, we play that same formation like we did against City. I don't think they would do that at Anfield. I think Ekitike you have to have a centre forward at Anfield. I don't think you can ever do that. But I definitely think away at the Etihad, he absolutely could rock up with that. And because Curtis has only just come back from injury, he could effectively ask Florian Wirtz to do that job. And you play all four your midfielders, you don't play a centre forward.
You could play Ekitike instead of Gakpo because it gives you a little bit more directness as well, doesn't it?
Potentially, I see a world against City where it's Gakpo and Salah either side. You got Szoboszlai and Wirtz, and then McAllister and Gravenberch behind them.
Yeah, it's a proper box as well. There.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's maybe in the thinking. It's again probably not what he was bought for, and that you mentioned the plans have to change and plans have been changing. So yeah, that is the week that's coming up, Chris. If I had to. I'm just trying to think. You mentioned before that the Premier League's obviously the priority. I get it because the Champions League you probably can afford, but then you are walking a tightrope even in the Champions League. Definitely top 8 becomes a real risk if you lose again. So you're getting those 2 extra games. By the way, you've got to play last year's finalists in their home ground in a couple of weeks' time. I don't think Slot will prioritise either.
No, he'll prioritise both.
He won't even be thinking about City. I think he picked his Crystal Palace team very much in the mind of, I want everyone fit and available because I want to be able to pick any of the lads in the next 3 games. I think it'll just be sole focus on Madrid, and then you do get a big gap. You know, they play Wednesday, by the way, City, so an extra day on them. But, you know, Tuesday to Sunday, that's a massive gap.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to worry about it. I think it's just, right now, it's just, he's just focusing purely on...
Get through there, see what it's like, and I think he'll be looking at it and going, can we build that confidence up? You know, it's great that we got the clean sheet, it's great that we got the win. We need to add to that in the confidence terms anyway. If we can get a result against, you know, Real Madrid, you can bounce into Manchester City, and that's what we need to do. In the same way that it was a negative snowball of the 6 in 7, we need to build ourselves back up. So he'll just be going, let's try and win each game.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, again,
do you think they think like that at the moment? Because if we're going to arrive late at the title running and try and snatch it, we're going to have to go 15, 20 games without losing one. We're probably one defeat and Arsenal win on the same weekend from all of us sitting there going, wow, can we make up 11 points? Because that's the conversation we had on the flip side last season when we went 11 points clear of them. We was all sat here going, Arsenal haven't got 11 points in them to make up.
I don't think Liverpool have 7 points.
So for me, you look at it and you think, right, you've got 20 plus games left in the Premier League, nearly 30. You probably need to lose maybe 1-2 more in the remainder of the season to shut that gap down and go and win it. Or you go and make a real fist of the Champions League where you're still right in the mix, and Champions League football suits you a little bit better than Premier League football at the moment because they're not doing the bombarding you with set pieces thing. And
I think, Steve, I think that conversation happens next. No, not this break. I think that conversation probably happens January. You're going to be in it, I get it, but like Liverpool are going to be at least in this qualifying thing, aren't they? I think at some point they'll do what Arsenal did last year and focus their attention.
My point there being is the Premier League's like on a knife edge for us at the moment. So
it really is.
Yeah, it's very close to being done and dusted.
If it was Manchester City, I'd always say, like from a few years ago, it's over. But it's the fact that Arsenal haven't won it for me.
Yeah,
and it's the I've been sitting here telling you that Arsenal can win the fucking league because they're a really good side.
Make them earn it.
But you've got to earn it, and I still don't know that if you're 4 behind them, what they look like under pressure.
I just don't see them conceding. Like if they don't concede, they don't lose games. I can't see Liverpool going on a run of 15 straight. I can't. And until we can see that, I'm not sure. I say
it's knife edge. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I think it's too early to chuck it out.
My point was more they will still think they can win both right now. Like Arne Slot will be acting as if Liverpool can win both.
Yeah, he has to.
And he has to, but at some point that might change. But it doesn't mean because there's a world where you say, you know what, maybe leave 1 or 2 out and save them for City. I just don't think he's thinking like that. No. I think he's just thinking, win the Real Madrid game, and then that gap is such a big gap. You know, Tuesday, Sunday is about as good as you're going to. If you're saying to me, you've got to play Real Madrid and then play Man City, Tuesday, Sunday, you'll bite your hand off every single time. It's an unbelievable little bit of maybe good.
Plus, we beat them both in the same week last season.
That's true.
The negative is that it's coming on the back of a Saturday night. That's the only thing where that on the flip side. But I don't believe Arne Slot's even looking ahead. I think he's solely on Madrid, which goes back to the team selection. Wouldn't be at all shocked if he just went same again.
Yeah,
same again. They're all fit enough, but then have your his bench might be a bit better as well, Chloe. You know, it looks like they're going to have Curtis Jones back, for example. That certainly helps him a little bit because the bench was probably a little bit too young at the weekend. Really, adding Curtis back into that mix. You know, if you're worried about Alexis and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch at the weekend, there was only really Florian Wirtz who could come on in midfield. He just isn't going to pick Endo in midfield really. Now, if he's got 2 options, he might be more comfortable saying, give me an hour and I can bring these 2 lads on. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas at the weekend, he was really, really careful. He made 1 sub. He always makes 7, usually because we're chasing games and we've got to throw every attacker on.
Obviously,
but yeah. I think the addition of Curtis Jones back onto the bench potentially makes it a little bit easier for him to start the same 11 again. Because then he's got Wirtz, Jones, Chiesa, all his viable options who you can bring on. He's got Joe Gomez there. He'll have Kirkes or Robertson. All of a sudden, it's changes off the bench are a little bit more appealing than perhaps they were at the weekend where he didn't have too much there.
Yeah, they can, and that means that if a player plays 60, you know, they can then go and play again the weekend. So maybe one of Kirkes or Robbo is a sub that might already be made. Who knows going into it? But yeah, I think Curtis being back is good for Liverpool because, like I said, we saw the likes of McAllister prove and play better, but that is only 1 game. We don't know whether he'll be able to do that consistently or whether we as a collective will be able to do that consistently. And I thought Jones was quite well. Jones is a player who will always show for the ball, will always recycle it, will always keep the ball for you. So it's a decent option to have, and when you're bouncing into the weekend, which is just as big as these 2 games that have happened already, well, 2 games that will have happened, you know, it's important that you have the extra legs there. So yeah, it's a positive. I guess I'd go the same team back to back and hope and pray that we found some form. The only problem then is I was absolutely dying for an international break last time. What happens if you actually win the last 3 before an international break? Then I'm slightly fuming going into the international break that we've broke up when we're actually back in form.
And then we get Dicey's Forest for rocking up afterwards.
Wonderful.
A week's a long time in footy. Like Liverpool had the season was really going really well, and then it went really badly. They've addressed the slide. They've won that first game. Like, there is a world where we're sat here next Monday and Liverpool have had another brilliant week like they've had the last year, for example, in very similar circumstances when they played these teams. The motivation's there for them. This is like, get your season properly back on track now, and I'm sure they're all very much aware of it. And I think we saw on Saturday how much, like, you know, the mentality of these lads. Like, there was a while there, and Chloe mentioned it before, and Chris a little bit, like, we were questioning a little bit the mentality of these lads. Big opportunities for them to address that full stop now. Yeah, you beat Aston Villa, but you beat it maybe with, you know, a goalkeeper mistake and a deflection. Now's your chance to go and really show everybody that, you know, we are these mentality
But they enjoyed the game against Villa. As a team, you could see they're enjoying playing football again, and they haven't been in recent weeks, so there's a lot to add to that. If you go and get positive results against Madrid and City respectively, that willingness to go again. You know, we talk about, you mentioned players hiding before, you know, and they do. When results aren't going well, some players roll their sleeves up and some players go into the shadow a little bit. When you're getting results against the likes of Villa and potentially City and Real Madrid, you should come out there pigeon-chested, proper full of it, and want to keep playing football. And your point about then going into another international break when you at least need one is right. That's a really, really good opportunity for them to convince themselves they are contenders in both of those competitions, and they are back 100%, because training will be a completely different place today than it has been for the last month or so. Absolutely completely different. There'll be smiles on faces, and last thing any coach or manager of any sort of notoriety will say to you when you leave the changing room is relax. And they've not been anything but relaxed in those defeats. This game will bring that back, and hopefully we'll see the best of us.
Yeah, fingers crossed we do just that. Thanks very much, guys. We're going to start wrapping up there. Yeah, just let you know, of course, we will have a watch on for both of those games on Tuesday night. It'll be me and Errol here in the studio. On Sunday afternoon, it'll be Chris and Paul for the watch along. So yeah, do check them out on YouTube if you haven't checked them out before. They are really cool. Second best thing from being in the stadium. So if, unlike the guys here, if you haven't got a ticket, come and join me and Errol for the game. We will have a jolly good time, and you don't have to listen to the TV commentary, which is the best plus about that one. Mute them, listen to us. We've got you covered every step of the way. Yeah, do go and check out our good friends, our turnstiles. They're absolutely fantastic. One more time, absolutely fantastic. Modelturnstiles.com. Go, and Chris just broke it, so no more joking. Go and check it out. The link in the description, or just go and visit their website. For those listening, go and check out our social channels as well. We'll have some posts on there a little bit later on as well. We are going to take a quick break here, then we'll be back over on redmenplus.com with the Bias Football Podcast. We're going to be talking about another Premier League sacking. We're going to be talking about that lad who can't cut his hair because Man United didn't win. We're going to be talking about Tottenham's lads ignoring their manager after being booed off the pitch, and plenty others that will be available over on Redmen Plus very, very shortly. But for now, thanks to Steve, Chloe, Chris, and all you guys for checking us out. Catch you all next time.